United States unemployment rate is now at an all-time low since the COVID-19 pandemic began.
And intramural football makes a comeback at UNT.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us for ntTV News at Noon. I'm Austin Wright.
And I'm Jalen Jackson.
Authorities are looking for a suspect in relation to a deadly mass shooting that took place in Sacramento. 6 people were killed and 12 were injured after someone opened fire early Sunday morning. It isn't even known if an event was taking place at that time, but a large crowd was gathered prior to shots being fired. Sacramento police believe multiple shooters may have been involved. At least one firearm has been recovered from the scene. In a press conference following the shooting, Sacramento Police Chief Catherine Lester spoke on the tragedy.
The scale of violence that just happened in our city is unprecedented during my 27 years here at the Sacramento Police Department. We are shocked and heartbroken by this tragedy, but we are also resolved as an agency to find those responsible and to secure justice for the victims and their families.
Police confirmed a fight broke out prior to the shooting and are in the process of interviewing witnesses. Those injured were taken to hospitals in Sacramento to be treated, but their condition is still unknown at this time.
Jury selection begins Monday for the man behind the deadliest high school shooting in American history. Life in prison or the death penalty is what's on the table for Nicholas Cruz. He pleaded guilty in October to opening fire at Majory Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, more than 4 years ago, where Cruz killed 17 people and injured 17 more. There are plans for 12 jurors and 6 to 8 alternates to begin discussing the death penalty. Jurors would have to unanimously agree on one aggravating factor and then also agree on the death sentence. If capital punishment is recommended, the final decision still rests with the judge. It could take 6 months to find out his sentence. This came after the federal government reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with the victims' families regarding the FBI's lack of action involving the case.
Just when COVID cases started to decrease, you may see the number spike back up soon. Experts say it's due to the highly contagious Omicron variant BA2. These changing trends are expected to come as a result of the CDC lifting a public health order from the start of the pandemic. CNN's Amy Kiley has the story.
Surges in COVID-19 cases and asylum requests might soon hit the U.S. at the same time. The CDC is lifting a Trump administration order. It stopped most migrant crossings at the southern border, including those for asylum, since March 2020. Immigrant advocates argue Title 42 is about politics, but the stated reason for it is COVID-19. The CDC says it's lifting the measure May 23rd. It says prevention and mitigation strategies and public health conditions are better now. Refugees like this mother plan to cross the border as soon as they can. Officials expect as many as 18,000 migrant encounters at the southern border daily in the short term.
The goal for everyone should be to make sure those asylum claims, those claims of people fleeing persecution, are heard in a prompt way. Those who deserve protection from persecution get that protection. Those who don't are promptly sent back.
Add to that the 100,000 Ukrainian refugees President Joe Biden promised asylum.
The easiest way to get to the U.S. right now is not an easy way at all. It requires flying to Mexico and then eventually to Tijuana on the border, putting your name on a list and waiting.
They're seeking to enter a country where average daily COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have been going down nationwide. But experts say the highly contagious Omicron subvariant BA2 might be reversing those trends. Cases continue to fall in 21 states. They're plateauing in these areas and going up in more than a dozen states plus Puerto Rico. I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
You know what else is going up, Jalen? The temperature.
I know. It is getting hotter outside. I wonder what the rest of the day is going to be like. Let's see what our weather anchor, Ryan Cantrell, has to say. Ryan?
Well, guys, I can definitely agree that temperatures are going up. Not to mention we had a very comfortable weekend with clear skies and mild temperatures. But currently, cloudy day here in Denton with a current temperature of 71 degrees and winds to the southeast at 13 miles per hour. On to tonight, we'll see some T-storms into the area, possibly spawning the threat of hail. severe wind damage, and even tornadoes. So please stay up to date and stay safe during tonight. Storms are rolling at about 4 p.m. this afternoon, and maybe roll east at around 2 a.m. this morning. But temperatures will drop, and then tomorrow we'll have temperatures rise back up to a mild 73 degrees, and finally we'll see some sunny skies. Winds will return to southwest at 10 miles per hour. Now that's all I have for my first look weather. Stick with us as I talk about temperatures coming, hot temperatures coming early, feeling like summer in spring. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ryan. It's shaping up to be a big week for the Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson. President Biden's pick for the High Court is expected to be confirmed as soon as this week. With the Senate panel set to vote Monday to advance her nomination, the vote will likely end up split down the party lines, but there are still ways Jackson's nomination can move to a vote in the days to come. It's rare for a Senate Judiciary Committee to tie on a Supreme Court nomination, but the position has become increasingly contentious, and the current Senate is split 50-50. If confirmed, Jackson will be the first black woman to be a Supreme Court justice.
Multiple Russian airstrikes struck a fuel storage facility in the key Ukrainian port city of Odessa Sunday. This is one of the most significant attacks on Ukraine since the initial invasion. CNN's Ed Lavandera is in Odessa takes us there.
The missiles exploded in a startling, violent barrage. About 6 strikes lit up the sky. Russian military officials say the attack on Odessa was launched from the sea and land using high-precision missiles. The massive plumes of black swirling smoke covered much of the city of 1 million people. The strikes landed in a largely industrial area, destroying an oil refinery and fuel storage facilities.
Multiple airstrikes hit the port city of Odessa here in southern Ukraine just before sunrise Sunday morning. There were no air raid sirens that went off before the blasts, and the explosions could be felt and seen from miles away.
Ukrainian officials say there were no injuries, but Tatiana Harasim says the explosions threw her from the chair she was sleeping in, and window glass shattered all over her. Tatiana volunteers in this building late into the night, cooking meals for Ukrainian soldiers. In recent days, she says reconnaissance drones were flying over the fuel storage facility. 2 other residents told us they saw the drones as well.
The drones were flying around and I knew they were up to something and could bomb the depot. And we've been thinking where we could hide in case something happens.
A small pocket of apartment buildings and homes sit just across the street from the bombing site. Families stood outside their homes under the clouds of dark smoke, watching flames shoot up into the air. The explosions shattered windows and any remaining sense of security these residents had left.
Of course I'm scared. And now they're hitting everywhere. They're doing it in all cities. We know it. We see it.
The attack on Odessa follows a similar pattern Russian forces have carried out for weeks, hitting fuel storage facilities across the country it claims are supplying their Ukrainian military. But if the Odessa strike is a precise attack, Ukrainian officials say the strikes hours later in the neighboring city of Mykolaiv have no rhyme or reason and are designed to harass and panic civilians. Despite being this close to the bombing and with tears in her eyes, Tatiana Harasim says she refuses to leave Ukraine. She tells me these bastards won't get away with it. Ed Lavandera, CNN, Odessa, Ukraine.
A Denton man was arrested this past weekend.
And Disney calls a recall over hand sanitizer. Find out more later in the show.
Where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
The Denton Police and Fire Departments were called this past Saturday at 7:30 p.m. to investigate an unconscious person reported on East McKinney Street. The person who made the call to 911 said that a child was having a medical emergency. The child, who was 7 years old, was taken to a local hospital and later pronounced dead. A search warrant was served at the home where the child was found, and investigators interviewed the child's mother and her boyfriend. Police arrested the boyfriend, Todd Lofton Shaw, following the interview and charged him with injury to a child. Officers said they had no prior history with Shaw or the family at the address.
2 years after the pandemic took hold of the economy, leading to a job loss of over 22 million jobs, federal labor statistics released today showed the country is recovering. Hundreds of thousands of jobs were added in March, wages increased, and more Americans are returning to the office. Gloria Pazmino breaks down the numbers.
431,000 jobs added in March, and unemployment down to a pandemic-era low of 3.6%. Two of the strongest signs that America's labor market is roaring back.
It means that our economy has gone from being on the mend to being on the move.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics released its report Friday showing a strong first quarter for the labor market. There was an average monthly gain of more than 500,000 jobs, making March the 15th straight month of strong job gains. A steady increase in consumer demand combined with a return to normalcy as coronavirus cases decline and restrictions are lifted helped fuel the job growth. Leisure and hospitality industries, as well as retail and manufacturing, all saw some of the biggest gains.
And that's good news for millions of families who have a little more breathing room and the dignity that comes from earning a paycheck.
The number of people working remotely also declined. And in good news for workers, wages increased by 5.6% over the past year. But despite the sunny outlook, there is cause for concern.
The concern is that with the invasion to Ukraine, how it's going to impact the global supply chain.
Recovery numbers are also a sign of post-pandemic era inflation, triggered in part by international events. While your paycheck may be increasing, everything else is getting more expensive. I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
While America's unemployment rate has reached a new low, inflation has caused much apprehension in Americans. With higher prices for both food and gasoline, survival has become a priority. One Metro Atlanta business gives us a prime example. Nadia Romero reports.
Every step of the baking process now costs more.
And then you look at your cost of goods sold and you're like, whoa.
Almost 8 years ago, Kasha and Henry Adeleye started Cupcakery in East Point, Georgia. Their baking business almost a bust during pandemic shutdowns.
So that first 2 weeks was probably the scariest time of my life, period, because we just did not know.
But Cupcakery has kept baking and surviving. The president touting booming job growth nationwide. Wages up, unemployment down. Georgia Commissioner of Labor Mark Butler says the state's an example of record-breaking bounce back.
You take a look right now in Georgia, we have been breaking records in a lot of the different sectors, like we're talking about professional services, healthcare, warehousing, transportation, and so we're doing really good all the way around.
But inflation plagues the economy. Deliveries carried Cupcakery through COVID. But now, skyrocketing gas prices sour the sweet treats.
Gas prices are ridiculous, so we had to, increase our delivery costs for the first time ever.
And baking staples?
It's doubled the cost for each cupcake at this point.
In 2019, Cupcakery would pay about $18 per 15 dozen eggs. Now?
They are $55 for 15 dozen.
Cream cheese, about $6 per 3-pound loaf. Now?
$11 per loaf, so almost double the price of that.
Their bottom line just didn't add up.
Last year, we actually had our busiest year ever and our lowest profit margin ever as well.
How does that happen?
Just everything's going up like tenfold.
Your total will be $39.81.
So for the first time, Cupcakery's cupcakes now cost 5 to 10% more.
If you want a cupcake, we've got to charge the cost to make them.
Banana pudding, red velvet.
Customers take note.
I did frequent another bakery where their cakes they're nice, but the prices are excessive. So again, another reason for me to come and have the opportunity to try something different at a cost that I feel is inviting.
A recent U.S. Chamber of Commerce survey shows most small business owners have raised their prices due to inflation, while also making big changes to attract a strong workforce.
I still think we're a ways off to figuring out what the landscape is going to look like, because there's been so many resets when it comes to the cost of goods, the cost of doing business, and wages.
With baby number 2 on the way, the Adelaides fight to open a second Cupcakery location despite their challenges.
Some days you can't sleep at night when you see the numbers, but we're a business and we know we have to stay in business.
Nadia Romero, CNN, East Point, Georgia.
It's definitely important to get out and support small businesses more now than ever.
I agree. Maybe I'll take a trip down to the square this week, as long as the weather looks good. Let's check in with our weather anchor, Ryan Cantrell. What's it looking like, Ryan?
Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed these weekend temperatures as much as I have, because those warm, comfortable conditions are here to stay. But currently, across North Texas, we're looking at mild temperatures, all in those low to high 70s. So let's take a look. We got Bowie right there at 69, Decatur, Fort Worth, and even Sherman out there at 70. McKinney's at 68. Dallas is right there at 69. And then Paris is right there at 66. Now across the state, we're going to see warmer temperatures down south and colder temperatures up north, as to be typically expected. We have Oklahoma City right there at 59 degrees, Denton at 71, and then Austin right there at 72, Abilene at 65, Amarillo out there at 54, and finally El Paso way out there at 75. And now let's see that 7-day forecast. We have a stormy night tonight with today's high of 79 degrees. However, tomorrow's high will be a scorching 90 degrees, and we'll see some clouds in the beginning of the day and then clear out later. However, Wednesday through Sunday, look at those beautiful suns. We are looking at sunshine throughout the rest of the week with comfortable temperatures. Wednesday's high will be a 73 degrees, all the way up to Sunday's high of 85 degrees, and it should be like that for the rest of the week. Thank you for listening to this full weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ryan. 2 kinds of Disney-themed hand sanitizers have been recalled due to ingredient concerns. The FDA says the company, Best Brands Consumer Products, recalled these sanitizers. As you can see, they feature Mickey Mouse and Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian on the front of the 2.11-ounce fluid ounce bottles. Testing discovered benzene in the Mandalorian branded product and methanol in the Mickey Mouse version. Benzene is a carcinogen, and methanol exposure can cause serious health problems. Best Brands says it has not received any complaints about the sanitizers, and the affected lots were already taken off the market for other reasons. Still, if you have the sanitizer, the company says to stop using it and to throw it away.
Do you drive a Chevy Equinox or a GMC Terrain? Well, you might have to take it back to the dealership. The 2014 to 2015 models are part of a huge recall recently announced by General Motors due to issues with the windshield wipers. There are more than 680,000 of them out there. It was discovered that the wipers' ball joints have been slowly wearing away and could fall off at a moment's notice. General Motors is expected to send out letters to those potentially affected in the coming month. But you can take your car in at any time. Don't worry about the price. Your dealer will fix it for free.
The anniversary of the MLK assassination is today. Find out what people are doing to honor him.
And the student leadership organization nt40 has a whole week of events planned. Stay tuned for the info.
Imagine it's ice cream day at the office. And everyone from the day before voted for their favorite flavor. Everyone but you. You decided not to vote. The flavor they picked isn't the one that you wanted. But can you really complain? Shh! Now imagine that with an elected official.
Choose not to vote, choose not to be heard. Get registered today.
Civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The site of the shooting, the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, is now home to the National Civil Rights Museum. There aren't many advocates who worked with King here to tell the story. Out of King's entourage the day he died, only the Reverend Jesse Jackson and former UN Ambassador Andrew Young remain. Dr. King's legacy lives on in continued efforts and legislation to end racism and other forms of discrimination. It's amazing to see how we can still it's amazing how we can still see his impact so many years later. Even right here on campus, Austin Wright has more on an event being put on by one such organization here at UNT.
Thanks, Jalen. North Texas Top 40 Student Leaders is having a Cares Week, including various events to get to know the organization and possibly join for interested members. There will be a DEI panel Monday 11th from 6:30 to 9, a tabling event Wednesday, April 13th from 9:40 to 12:15, and lastly, painting with the 40 Thursday, April 14th from 6:30 p.m. to 9. If you want to get in on the fun early, they'll be hosting a meet and greet later on today here in the Union, starting at 7 p.m., where you'll have the opportunity to speak with members. Make sure to attend one or all the fun events they have planned. You won't want to miss it. Back to you at the desk, Jalen.
The intramural sport we all know and love is back. Flag football has made its return to UNT's campus, and luckily, I got to go check it out.
Sam, look at your left.
It has been 5 semesters since UNT Rec Sports offered intramural flag football. Now that COVID restrictions are being lifted, students are given the opportunity to throw some balls,
Go get it, Jameson.
catch some balls, and score some touchdowns.
Back whenever it was COVID season, we couldn't do anything, we couldn't socialize, couldn't do anything, couldn't get out of the dorm, and now we're back to out playing sports, we're back to making friends, back to throwing passes, making touchdowns, and I love it.
Feels great, man. We're able to be out here without masks on, be able to play with the boys, man, be able to get some of my boys out here to play ball with, so it's a lot of fun,
While there are still risks of contracting COVID-19, many intramural players are just happy to return to playing flag football without masks.
I mean, you just follow the protocols put in place by the school, and that's really all you can do, control what you can control.
Just keep following the protocol and stuff like that. I'm glad we don't have to wear masks no more. Everybody get to see my face, so I'm glad about that.
With flag football back, it gives students from different organizations and teams an opportunity to play their hearts out from the first snap of the first quarter to the final buzzer. Jalen Jackson, ntTV.
Man, it's great seeing football take a leap in the right direction. This sports season really seems like it's on the up and up.
Either way, I'm sure it's going to be very eventful, but I'm pretty sure we have some good news in store. Let's check in with our sports anchor, Ashton Cotton.
UNT sports have been looking really good. I'll have more on the Mavericks, UNT track and field, and softball just for you right after the break. Stay tuned.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
The Dallas Mavericks are now 22-8 on the road after yesterday's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Playing catch-up at the beginning of the first quarter, the Mavs took the lead midway through the 8-minute mark, making the score 11-8. The Bucks responded shortly after, tying the score 19-19. Soon ending the quarter 25-33 Milwaukee. As the game progresses, both teams answers back-to-back runs, with Dallas soon taking the lead at the end of the second quarter, ending 57-55 Mavs. It wasn't until halfway through the third quarter until Milwaukee power forward Giannis took back the lead. Putting an end to a very anticipated game, the Dallas Mavericks is now 43-30 and still fourth in the Western Conference. Takes the victory 118-112. UNT Track and Field brought the heat and the win to Baylor's Invitational this past Saturday with 4 top 3 finishes. Victor Neva took home his second win of the season in the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase with a time of 9 minutes and 21 seconds. Vitus Hansgard of men's javelin finished second with a throw of 189.06. Chris Samanigo took third in the men's hammer throw, registering a mark of 175.11. Last but not least, long-distance runner Jack Beaumont secured a personal best time of 3 minutes and 56 seconds in the men's 15-meter race, third overall, along with his teammates Mason Gardner and Logan Mitchell, placing fourth and fifth. If you haven't had a chance to catch our Mean Green runners in action, you are in luck. Mean Green will host the North Texas Classic this Saturday at the Soccer and Track and Field Stadium here at UNT. Our Mean Green softball played an outstanding game past Saturday and Sunday against UTEP. UNT was the first to score on the scoreboard with the left field Kaylee Gamble on a 2-out RB single. Later sealing the deal without Molly Raining scored the last run for UNT at the bottom of the 6th, making that her 4th home run of the season. UTEP with the first score of yesterday's game in the second inning, taking the lead, but not just Mean Green responding, scored consecutively in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning. Head coach Rodney DeLong states that him and his team are doing what it takes, and their goal heading into the next couple of series is to sweep. UNT takes the UTSA Roadrunners next, this Friday at 6 p.m. That's all for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
A new Coca-Cola flavor has gaming fans champing at the bits to try it. It's called Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Bite. The flavor? Pixels. The company claims they've made the intangible taste of a pixel tangible. The new drink was announced earlier today, but observant gamers might have gotten a sneak peek in late March. Coca-Cola first released their new drink on the Fortnite Island in the popular Battle Royale game before announcing it to the public. Coca-Cola Bite will drop into the real world on May 2nd.
You know, I wonder what a pixel tastes like.
Probably the difference is the refresh rate. Anyways, thank you for watching ntTV News at Noon.
Join us again tomorrow for the latest coverage here at North Texas Television.